Welcome everybody to the ARNet podcast. I'm sitting here today with Nikki Hynes. Nikki, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. I'm excited.
I appreciate you coming down to the Mallard Island Lawn Service Studios. And
She's fancy.
It's a little chilly out here, so we'll try to keep it rolling.
I love it.
Hey, tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Okay, pressure's on. So I'm Nikki Hynes. I work at Porchlight Realty. I'm a realtor. I've been a realtor. This is going to be my 5th year in real estate, which feels crazy to say out loud. I still call myself new sometimes. I'm like, wait, this has been a minute. I've done a few things. I've sold, probably almost 120 homes now in the area, mostly in Cabot. I like to help Little Rock Air Force Base. My husband was military. My dad was military, family, So that's kind of my niche, if you will. But I'm actually from Florida, grew up in Florida, the Pensacola area. I like to call it LA, Lower Alabama, because it's not really Florida, but we do have a beach within an hour, so it counts.
That's awesome.
A very small town, actually, just outside of Pensacola, a lot like Cabot. So I tell people all the time, I'm like, this is so funny because I was so young, growing up there, and Cabot is so similar to how when I was young there. So it's funny to see how it's developed down there and how Cabot is becoming a lot like it. So it feels a lot like home, even though it's 9 hours away. But went to college for public relations. I actually had no idea that was going to be my major when I started. I played soccer, and I was just trying to focus on soccer and pass my classes, and then finally quit soccer my junior year of college and was like, I don't like science. I don't like math. I like talking. I like, honestly, if I could have chose my dream job then, I probably would have said a news anchor. I liked writing stories and I liked things like that, but I just didn't know. So someone was like, okay, well, public relations, marketing, business, like these are your options. And I was like, okay, didn't like the math side of business. So I was like, public relations it is. So past that, I love sports, so I thought I'd go into sports. And I interned for the Blue Wahoos, which is like a AAA baseball team in Pensacola.
Okay.
Loved it, but hated the hours, which is very ironic now, sitting here as a realtor who works 24/7. But I can work from anywhere. There, you were pretty much at the stadium from... some of them got there at 6 a.m. and didn't leave until 2 a.m. So I was like, oh, not for me, So I was in the restaurant industry for almost 12 years and somehow stumbled into real estate. Basically hated the first experience buying my home in Florida. Loved my experience when we bought our house here, and the owner of Porchlight was the one who helped us. So
that's great. Now, at what point did you realize you wanted to become a realtor?
That was the moment. So I had pretty much told my husband, so he was getting out of the Air Force. We thought for sure we'd go back home to Florida, and COVID hit literally the month he was getting out. So we were like, oh, wow. Guess we're not going anywhere, and they put a freeze on the job that he was supposed to go into, and we got lucky enough that he got a job on base. And I was like, we've been renting for 4 years. This has been such a waste of money. That was my biggest thing. I did the math. We had paid almost $30,000 in rent. And it was like, we're never going to get that money back. We've got to buy a house. So I called my friend, and she was like, you got to call Mandy, the owner of Porchlight. And I told my husband, I was like, I'll pick the house, but I want nothing else to do with it because my first experience was so bad. I cried all the time.
Oh, no.
I made a Facebook post, and I share it every year now because I said, buying a house is the worst thing I've ever done. I'm never going to do it again. And so by the end of it, I kept asking my husband, I'm like, aren't you stressed? Wasn't this terrible? And he's like, no, this was really easy. And I'm like, so at the closing table, I asked Mandy, I was like, you like your job? She's like, yeah, I opened my own company, obviously I love my job. I was like, if I get my real estate license, will you help me? And she was like, I don't hire a lot of new agents, but if you pass, let me know. And got lucky enough that she let me be an assistant on her team for about 8 months. And then I branched off on my own, and it's kind of all history from there.
That's incredible. That is incredible. I like it. Now, what do you like about Cabot and Central Arkansas compared to the other places you've lived?
So it's honestly a lot like home. I mean, I did live in Albany, Georgia for my junior college. I, decided to spread my wings right after college and moved to Jacksonville, Florida, which is a busy town, which I liked, but I've never been a big city girl. It's just not my thing. I'm somewhere in between. I don't want to go camping all the time, but I love to fish. I love the beach. I love the water. So if I can be outside but still close to AC, I'm happy.
Sure, I understand exactly what you're saying. Now, what are 3 things people need to understand about buying versus renting? Because you said you rented, so what would you say 3 things are buying versus renting?
Okay, so renting, I will always support the fact that if someone does not have savings, they shouldn't be a homeowner. point fact, if you are a homeowner, you're going to have to fix things when they break. That's probably the biggest advantage of being a renter. If you are not someone with a good savings, and honestly, if you're not very responsible with money, you shouldn't own a home because you are going to be responsible for things if you own. So that's the biggest reason I support renters, is if you're in that financial position, or if you don't know if you're going to be somewhere a long time, because building equity is one of the most beneficial things about owning a home, is the fact that you are building lifelong equity if you invest properly. But if you're not able to stay there for more than 2 years at least, I typically say 3 to 5 is the goal that you should stay in a home, but the investment factor of owning a home is the biggest benefit ever, but you have to be smart about it.
Oh, I bet. Right. Now, I follow you on social media since I've been talking. Your husband and I consider your husband a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he and I did some lawn stuff together for your yard.
His passion, man.
Yes, exactly.
It's like a turf yard. But
exactly. It's awesome. I love your yard. And that's how I got to know your husband, is helping him do some stuff with your yard.
Yep.
And then I got to following you on social media. And how do you craft a plan from pricing to photos to using your social media?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things that go into a listing. So the biggest thing, location, condition, and demand are the 3 main items that determine the price of a home. Then you get into appraisal value, which everyone thinks they need to hire an appraiser to get that value. Not to say that they aren't necessary sometimes, and they are there for a mortgage company to determine that the mortgage company isn't giving you a loan for more than what the home is worth. But when you're going to list, we can do the same things that an appraiser can do unless you have something extremely unique. Multiple buildings, tons of acreage, things like that. That can get a little hairy, especially if there's add-ons and things like that, because they have to be certain codes and certain heights and certain, but a traditional home, we can typically look at the age it was built, the size that it is, the neighborhood that it's surrounding, and compare the last 6 months of sales, sometimes 12 if you need to, and evaluate what the market has told us in the last 6 months. Ideally, we would stay within 3, but depending on location, and we are kind of rural out here, so depending on how far you get out of the city, it can make it a little harder if you're not in a traditional neighborhood, but that's how we determine value. And then when you get into marketing, oh my goodness, right now, social media is everything. If people
really
don't see, and not to say social media sells a lot of homes, I wouldn't necessarily say that. The MLS is your biggest thing, and pricing your house right is the end-all be-all as far as selling it. Sure. But the MLS is obviously going to stream it across every website there is out there. But then when it comes to marketing, sellers want to see you working for them. That's just part of it. And putting together, especially quality videos and things like that, it just makes a home stand out that much more, and it gets it in front of that many more people. If it's in front of more people, it's more likely to sell. So that's kind of the magic behind social media and how I've kind of crafted. I think you've probably seen it, like I do a guess the list price to get people to start talking about what the price of the home is going to be. And then I make it live with a curated video. And then I just slowly stream out different advertising forms between TikToks and just traditional, just like flyers and things like that.
Yeah. Well, I know you've upped your game because I watch your social media and it's really gotten good.
I love it. It's probably I always say people are my favorite part about my job. I love people. I'm an extrovert through and through. I've been in the restaurant industry for so long. I got used to learning people's stories and having regulars and things like that. And it's kind of the best of both worlds in real estate, But it is sad because a lot of times after 30 days, you just don't talk as much, But I like to stay in touch with my clients. I am not so. A lot of realtors follow different business plans. So one of the things that I like to do that a lot of realtors don't is I'm someone who focuses primarily on my relationships with my clients. I don't pay Zillow. I don't pay Realtor.com to have people contact me about buying and selling. I purely work on referrals. So it is only the relationships I have that generates new business for me, and social media. So those are the 2 things I rely on. So I like to pour into my people, and I like to pour into social media.
That's cool. Now, you emphasize clear and honest communication. What does that look like during your typical transaction from the first time you meet somebody all the way to the closing table?
Oh, my gosh. If I had to track the number of text messages and phone calls, it would be in the hundreds. The hours that I spend just talking to people is pretty much my job. It's mostly logistics, making sure people are in the right place at the right time between appraisers, title company, things like that. But including the buyer or seller along with that is my biggest passion, because that was my problem when I bought my first home. I didn't feel like I knew what was going on. I knew all these things were supposed to happen, but I didn't know when, I didn't know how, I didn't know where. And so I was just confused, because then someone random would reach out and I'd be like, who are you? You know, like, why are you talking to me? Like, I don't even know that this is supposed to be, you know?
Yeah.
So that is a big passion of mine, is to make sure that my buyers and sellers feel informed and they know what the next step is. They know who's going to be talking to them, and they also know who shouldn't be talking to them. Fraud right now is a huge thing. I mean, it's major in our industry. I mean, because when you file for a mortgage, you pull your credit. I mean, it's just like, you know, you pull your credit to buy a car, things like that. You're going to get spam and scams and things like that. So being able to inform them on that, and one of my big disclaimers here that I want everyone to take away is, don't put solar panels on your house if you are selling that house in 10 years. Don't do it.
Don't do the solar panels.
You will lose so much equity in your home, so much equity. But that's a big, I call it a scam. Some people will argue with me, which is fine. I'll have the argument all day, every day. But if you go to sell your home, it's a lien against your home. It has to be paid off. So if you take out a $30,000 solar loan and then you go to sell 2 years later, you have to pay that off. Or you have to find someone that's willing to assume that, which who wants to, you'd go buy a new car before you put solar panels on a house if you're buying a house.
You can't go up and take solar panels with you.
No, majority of time, no. There are some companies out there, but they're very few and far between. And by that time, most people are so salty about their solar panels that they don't want them.
Right. That's hilarious. Yeah. Now, how would you describe the current market here in Cabot?
Oh, okay. So
from inventory to pricing.
So we definitely have an influx of inventory right now. We still are seeing values hold pretty strong, though. Even with having a higher inventory, obviously days on market has gone up a lot from COVID times, which we're just trying to break that habit, honestly. We're trying to break the people thinking that that was normal, because it was such a big deal, and so many people did buy and sell during that time. So many people held on to it because it was low rates. Sellers were selling homes in hours, you know, not days, hours.
People were getting over asking price.
Well over asking price.
Is that crazy?
It was crazy. And I got in right at the end of it. So I got a taste of it for sure. But I had all these realtors who were like, this is ending. Like, this is going to change, you know. So I luckily was trained by people who knew better, you know.
Right.
I am around realtors who have been in the industry for 30 plus years, you know. So they're all like, buckle up, because this isn't going to stay around, you know. Yeah. But teaching buyers and sellers now who have, that's their last transaction for most of them. Most of them did buy and sell during that time. So they kind of go into buying and selling today expecting similar results. And it's like, most homes take, you know, 2 to 4 weeks on our average price range, which in Cabot kind of fluctuates between $250 and $275 over the last couple years.
Okay.
In that price range, yeah, you may sell first weekend or second weekend, but 30 days roughly is the average days on market. And then as the price goes up, your days on market goes up. I mean,
okay, so your fastest selling is
under that average price point.
Gotcha.
Because you have the most buyers in that price range.
Well, of course.
So naturally, there's more people looking at your house. Whereas if you're in that higher budget, I always say once you're over 300 in this area, you're unique and you're expensive. You know, even though some people are like, it's not that expensive. You know, it's like,
for the Cabot market.
Still, and you got to think,
there,
well, and a lot of buyers now are younger. And a lot of people are waiting to buy their first home because, you know, a lot of people are more transient. They're more adventurous. You know, like when I was young, I was ready to settle down, whereas a lot of kids now, and I say kids, I'm not that old, but, you know, the young 20-year-olds.
I understand the term.
The young 20-year-olds, you know, they're like, I want to live life and I want to travel and I want to do that. You know, they're not selling down as much as I feel like when I was at that age. I feel like my generation kind of broke that, like, get married and have kids by 25. Like, my generation kind of stopped doing that. So I feel like we're getting a little bit older of home buyers, but at the same time, like, it's funny how the age ranges are so different right now. For a first-time home buyer, because I've had a first-time home buyer that was 60, and I've had a first-time home buyer that was 20. So, you know, that's the fun part, though.
I bet. Now, what's the biggest misconception about buying a home? What do people get confused?
That's such a good question. I feel like...
Because you have to hear it.
I mean, honestly, I feel like people are smart, and probably the biggest misconception is just that you have to have a ton of money to buy a home. I mean, and I say a ton of money. A lot of people think they have to have that 20% down, a conventional loan, things like that. Their grandparents all use conventional loans. That's what they've heard. That's what they've been told. I would say that's probably the biggest misunderstanding I see across the board for first-time home buyers, is that they have to have this huge lump sum of money. Do I think it's absolutely responsible to have a good savings? I always say I don't like Dave Ramsey at all. I will tell you, I do not like the Ramsey method.
Hang on now.
Hate it. Hate it. I think it's one of the dumbest things out there. But if you're bad with money, it's fantastic. But there is nobody out there that is millionaire and things like that doesn't carry healthy debt. There is healthy debt and there's unhealthy debt. But most people don't know that balance, and that's the problem. And that's where I think the Ramsey method benefits a lot of families and people to not have unhealthy debt, because there is unhealthy debt. But I always say you should have at least $10,000 that you're ready to go towards an emergency, a life crisis, something like that. Like, if you don't have that kind of cushioning, I don't recommend buying a home. I see people still buy homes all the time that don't have a lot of savings, not anywhere close to that. So it's not to say you can't do it, but I just feel like responsibly that is probably where you should be at. But there are so many loan types out there, from FHA, RD, VA loans, and there's grants and things like that, even for conventional loans and promos, and where you don't have to put 20% down anymore. So that misconception is probably the biggest one I see.
I'll be darned. Okay, I did not know any of that.
Okay, good. Yay!
Now, you've sold how many houses? Just a general
I think
estimate.
I'm almost at 120 now, if not at it. I need to look. I was at 100 right towards the end of the year, around November, and I've closed at least 15 probably since then. So like I said,
that's great. Now, can you share us a memorable client story?
Oh, gosh,
that captures what you do and what you stand for your brand?
Just because I know they won't mind me sharing, but probably they are the clients I've helped the most, and they're the clients I've helped probably the highest amount total in real estate. I've helped them buy 3 properties. No, 2. I've helped them buy 2 properties, and I've helped them sell 2 properties. So 4 transactions over less than 5 years. So they've helped me a lot. It's so funny. He is a numbers guy. I mean, through and through. Like, no, you could just spit something at him, and he'd spit it right back. Like, and
the Rain Man.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. It's so funny. He's so good at it. But he has such a passion for real estate too, because he sees he's a numbers guy. It's an investment. It's this. It's that. And it's funny though, because they have such a close, tight knit family. It's 3 of them. Their daughter, I always call her my little bestie. Like, they're just such good people, and they've been so much fun to help. But they've taught me a lot about how people like to be, educated, but also how the things that they want out of, their realtor. They're very specific, and they gave me very clear instructions, but they definitely put the pressure on me. They were the 4th seller I ever helped, and they were the biggest transaction I had at that time. And it was actually really cool. They actually ended up selling their home to a guy who had bought his furniture and his lawnmower and things like that whenever he had sold his house before. So they knew each other. It was the craziest thing, and they both ended up my clients. And it's just those kind of relationships. They stick with you forever, and like they are like family to me. And that's what it's all about for me. If I could have every transaction like that one, I'd be winning the lottery every single day.
Oh, that's awesome. Now, for someone who's planning on selling in the Cabot area in the next 12 months, what are some steps they should take now?
Oh, my gosh.
To put themselves in the strongest position?
I love that question. That's such a good question. So, talk to a realtor. It does not matter if you're a year out, 6 months out, especially if you are someone that wants to put your best foot forward with listing a home, because there are so many little things you can do to make your listing photos stand out. And I say photos, we got my photographer back there recording us, but preparing for listing photos is the biggest thing. The photos are the first impression your house will make whenever someone wants to buy it. I always say most people have decided if they want to buy a home or not before they ever look at it. From those photos, from that listing, you want to put your best foot forward. And you want a realtor that's going to make sure the details are there, that makes people want to come see it, that makes them want to buy it. So when it comes to prepping, talk to a realtor. So have some money saved to do the things. You live in that house. You know what needs to be done. You know that those floors are looking rough. You know that the countertops probably need to be replaced. And if you're in that position to where I've sat down with sellers where I'm like, okay, if you list your house like it is today, it's this price. And if you actually put some paint, some new flooring, and you do things like this, we're talking a $60,000 difference, and this is going to cost you 10.
Right.
And every time I've told someone that and they've done it, they've made that money. I mean, it's insane what the cosmetics and just that little bit of care, and not to say $10,000 isn't a lot of money, because that's what I'm saying. Like, it's a lot of money, but when you're talking investment wise, what it can do for you in the long run, having a clean home that's well maintained and beautiful will make all the difference in how much money you make and how fast your home sells.
That's great. Now, flip that over to the buyer. If someone's planning on buying in the next 12 months, what should they be doing to prepare?
You need to talk to a lender or a realtor or both and see where you are financially, because a lot of people think that they're not ready when they really are. I will say kind of a rule of thumb that a lot of lenders will say is you should have a 620 score or better. But there are a lot of lenders that can work with under that. But
really?
Whether or not you actually want to do that, because it's going to cost you more. If you have a lower credit score, you're going to have to pay more for a loan because that's more risk for the loan company. So that's kind of how that all all snowballs. So yeah, if you have a perfect score, you're going to get a better loan. You're going to get a better rate. You're going to get, a much better deal in the long run as far as your loan goes. But as far as getting ready, making sure your credit's in order, making sure you've had a stable job for a while, there's a lot of different rules and regulations out there depending on loan types, on those kind of things. But stable income, a decent savings, and talking to the right people to make sure you're in good hands and making sure you're comfortable. I've had buyers look for as long as 6 months, and I've been considering buying a new home for a year and a half, 2 years probably, and I haven't found what I wanted. So seeing where you're at, seeing what the market's like, engaging whether or not you're ready to jump in or not. But if you can afford the house, you should buy one if you're renting. Period.
There you go.
That's always going to be my advice.
And you may have covered this, but
hit me.
How do they go? What's the best leverage to get a local agent like yourself, or trying to do it themselves?
Ooh, okay, good one. So I don't know why a buyer would ever buy a home without a realtor. A lot of negotiations and things like that, not to get too deep into it, but a lot of buyer's agents can negotiate their commission to be paid by a seller. So not to say that buyers aren't responsible for paying their agents, because that's a whole thing that, It's been a nationwide issue. But luckily, Arkansas's contracts are very clean and clear on all those things. But as far as sellers go, we see a lot of people say, oh, you'll save so much money selling by yourself. Don't waste your money. And Lord, the for sale by owners that are out there, almost every one of them is priced too high. And then they're sitting and they have no exposure, and then they don't answer their phones. The number of for sale by owners that I call, and I'm like, I have a buyer that wants your house.
Yeah.
They want it. They don't answer. I leave them voicemails. I text them, and I've helped a few for sale by owners, they changed over to a real listing, and they all said they were like, I didn't realize how much work this would be.
I can't imagine.
Because people are calling and blowing up your phone all day long, and you get excited. And honestly, when I started real estate, it's funny now that I've seen how I've changed over the years. But when you have a listing, it's like, oh my gosh, everyone who wants to see it, you're like, oh, they want to buy that house. You get so excited. But the number of phone calls and text messages I answer on listings where an agent says, hey, do you know the age of this? Hey, I have a buyer that asked this, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's all day, every day. And half the time, those people never even go look at the house, So I answer a lot of questions all day long for people that have no interest in really even seeing the house. But they just wanted a little bit more info. So, there's a lot of legwork that people don't see that's behind the scenes that realtors do. And until you list your house yourself and you put that sign out in your yard yourself, you'll never really see it. And then you'll see how hard it is to get people in the door, too. It's not easy to get people in the door sometimes.
Sure. Now, do you get a lot of what I'm going to refer to as tire kickers? Do you get a lot of people that just want to wander around, look at houses, but are really not going to buy?
So the biggest benefit, I will say, is to how I run my business is I don't do Zillow leads and I don't do realtor leads. So a lot of people will call Zillow and say, I want to see a house, blah, 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 and they'll get connected with a Zillow realtor.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people, yeah, they're just wandering. They're just looking. I sit down. This is something that I do with every single client. It doesn't matter if I've known you 100 years. It doesn't matter if we just met. I'm going to have you come in, sit down, whether you're a buyer or seller. We're going to go over, if it's a seller, it's at their house so I can see their house, but I'm going to go over the process with them. I'm going to tell them, hey, this is what you have to do first. You need a pre-approval. This is what you're looking for. This is how likely you are to find it. This is what we need to, narrow down. These are the pros and the cons,
So you're going to show, you have a playbook. You're going to say, hey, this is our playbook. We're starting here.
Yes. I call it a strategy meeting or a consultation. We're going to sit down before we step foot in a house. One, safety is a huge thing in real estate. We all know there was a realtor around here that got murdered. It's the saddest thing in the whole, it's awful. So safety is number one thing. I have 2 kids. I'm not meeting you at a random house if I don't know you. First. Right. And then second, I don't want to waste anybody's time. I don't want to go show you a $400,000 house if you haven't been pre-approved and you don't even know if you can afford it. Right. Because that's the thing. How many people truly know what the payment is? Exactly. None of them. They're looking at Zillow's estimate. Well, Zillow's estimate doesn't account for taxes. It doesn't account for insurance. It doesn't account for all those other things. So Zillow may say that $400,000 house, the payment's only $1,600. But then when you add taxes, insurance, and interest, it's really $3,000 a month. And that's...
Yeah.
And so people are very misguided when it comes to what they think payments will be and what they think prices are and what they think they can afford. So that's the biggest thing, too, is why I want to sit down with someone and make sure they actually understand what are we buying, why are we buying it, and can we actually afford it?
Right. Now, you mentioned the safety aspect and how now, since that incident a few years back, everyone's kind of hyper aware of it.
Very.
So you guys have a plan in place that you follow for that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Correct?
So I only meet clients in person first at my office, where obviously I'm in the center of town, and we're a busy agency. We aren't an agency where only a couple people are there at a time. There's normally 5 to 10 of us there at all times. Perfect. And also my husband tracks my location. My best friend tracks my location. So many people know that. I technically have 2 assistants, but one of them specifically, I text her and say, hey, I'm showing this at this time. She knows to check on me, things like that. But I don't work with people I'm not comfortable with. I won't. I'm not going to do it. If I don't know you, the scariest thing I would say that I feel like is in our industry is an open house. But my husband knows where I'm at. I leave all the doors open. I have my phone on me at all times. There's things you do. A lot of people like to carry bee spray with them and stuff. It's kind of like mace, but it's bee spray, or a flashlight or something like that. There's ways that we can protect ourselves, but it's definitely something we have to be very aware of in this day and age.
Safety is the biggest thing for me. I was a Little Rock police officer for 26 years. Yeah. You got to take care of yourself.
Yeah. This can be a very dangerous industry.
Very, very dangerous. Well, Nikki, we're getting close to the end. Is there anything you'd like to get out?
Yeah.
Before we wrap up.
Oh my goodness, there's so many things. I could go on so many soapboxes, but in general, buying and selling real estate is one of the most important things I think any person can do for their future. It is an investment, and the first house I bought wasn't anything fancy. That's probably a huge piece of advice I have to everyone out there. Your first house doesn't have to be a mansion. It doesn't have to have granite. It doesn't have to be extravagant. A small 3-bedroom, 2-bath is one of the best investments you can make. I bought a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. I got very lucky. It was actually part of a quadplex, believe it or not, an old apartment that had turned into townhouses. But you make money on that one, and then you can afford the next one. And then, our house right now, we did get very lucky. We bought during COVID, but that house will never sell. We have a 2% interest rate. It will be an investment for the rest of our lives, and it's something that I plan on giving to one of my children. I want to buy another house and give to my other child.
That's great.
It is one of the easiest and best ways that you can build wealth, because unlike a vehicle and things like that you spend a lot of money on, it will grow in value if you take care of it. So don't be afraid to take that step. I know it sounds scary, and a lot of people have a lot of negative experiences. It is a house. It is going to need care and love and things, and it will cost you money. It's not easy to do, but it's going to be worth it.
There you go. I like it. That's great information. Now, how can people find you? Give me some of your social media stuff. Because I can put links in the show notes so people will be able to link.
You got it.
So tell me what you want linked to you.
Most things are Nikki Hynes Realtor, Hynes, Hynes, not Haynes, and not Heinz like the ketchup, but it sounds like it.
Right. Now, is that on Facebook?
Everywhere says Nikki Hynes Realtor to some extent, whether it's TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. I need to get back on LinkedIn. I'm not on it like I should be. I reactivated my account pretty recently.
I did the same thing. I'm on LinkedIn, but I don't use it.
No. And a lot of
hardly
people
ever
say
look
it's
at
like
it.
the best place in the world to be. And I'm like, oh.
For business to business, possibly.
Yeah, probably. I don't know. But I keep meaning to make my account a little bit nicer. But what else? YouTube, same thing. Nikki Hynes Realtor. That's me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate you coming to the Mallard Island Lawn Service Studios, bringing your videographer. This is the first time the ARNet podcast has ever been on video.
Yeah, shout out. Andrew Eno Imagery, right? Absolutely love him. We just started working together, and that was something that we talked about. I mean, I wanted to make it a big deal this year. I feel like social media is the future. I mean, everyone's on it. I mean, who do you know that doesn't have a Facebook account or an Instagram or a TikTok? You know, it's just a great way to reach people. But he is extremely talented and takes a lot of time and care into his business, and he takes it very seriously, and I really respect him and enjoy working with him.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and invite Andrew to come do a podcast with me. And so we
He
can
wants you to come do one.
so we can get him on the show, and we'll have a future episode with Andrew, and we'll go over his business.
Love that.
Because that's what we're here for, is just promoting the businesses here in Cabot.
Yeah.
Or in Central Arkansas.
I appreciate you doing this. This is really cool.
Absolutely. Well, Nikki, thank you so much for coming out to the Mallard Island Lawn Service Studios. And Andrew, thanks for bringing the video equipment. And we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Mr. Producer, we are sending this back to you, sir. Thank you.